This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going all the way to Thailand. We are going to the floating market, which actually is in Thailand, where people are, pushing their boats down the river there, and they are essentially selling fruit. And that's what we're doing here, is we're trying to buy fruit. We're trying to get 5 different fruit to bring back to grandma so she can make fruit salad. This is 2 to 5 players. It is a dice speculation / manipulation game. Takes about 45 minutes. Worker placement mechanic itself. Let's show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. I don't usually show inserts, but this one from Eagle Gryphon Games is quite nice. When you pull the board out, it actually has a nice little compartment here that goes over all the components and keeps them all nice and in the same box. And I really like that because you can pull this out. This has some nice places to put your thumbs. Just really nice insert and production quality here. In Floating Market, you're going to be going to different boats to try to get certain fruit. One of these 7 different fruit. What you're trying to do is be the first person to get 5 different fruit, because you can never have the same fruit twice, and that person's going to be the winner. There's going to be people added to boats, and there's going to be dice manipulation, and you're trying to get these 5 fruit. Now everybody starts with 3 workers of their color, cool little workers with the hats on, I like those meeples, and 2 money, which essentially is 1 card per money there. You're also going to get 4 dice of your own color and a regular negative D6, so these are always negative values. The dice here, you're going to get a 12-sided, a 10-sided, a 6-sided, and a 4-sided. Now note that if you have an early copy of this game, you might have some problems with your D4s. For example, this one is a 4, this one is a 3, a 4, and a 4. So whenever you read this, whatever one is the majority of the bottom is what you're going to use. I think they were misprinted. I think Eagle Gryphon's been really good about sending out replacements, but just know that when you roll a D4, you'll look at whatever one is the majority on the bottom if yours are different, and that's what you use. Also, these negative D6s, it wasn't super clear, or it didn't jump out at you that those were negative, because when you set up, you give 1 set of 5 dice, 2 in the customer tokens and the coin cards, and then way up here, it actually says give players 4 dice in their color, and then 1 negative D6. So it's not super obvious that that D6 is negative in this game, because there actually is a negative D6 on the board that you take, and these pips are red. I wish they would have made your own D6 negative ones red. That way it would have been more, you would have been able to put 2 and 2 together. Those are definitely negative. Now the game is standard worker placement. Someone's going to take the start player marker, put it in front of them. That player is simply going to place one of their workers, and then they're going to add any one of their die to this die pool. So let's just say they can move it to a boat. They can move it to one of the spaces that are on the board, and activate that spot. So let's say he just goes there, and I can add any one of my dice to this one right here. So I add that dice there. Now you have 3 workers, and you only add a die on your first one. So after a couple people maybe place their person and place a die themselves, and then another player might place and then place their die, and then the last player that's playing might place this, and maybe they place their die. Now as subsequent workers are placed, you don't add any more dice unless a place tells you to. So everyone adds a die on their first movement, but not on the others. And this will continue until everybody has 3 workers out there. Now let's show you what all these different spots do. Now if you go to the temple, meaning you put your guy here, again, once someone's there, nobody else can go there in this spot. You can either take the -2 or the +4 and add it to the dice pool. And essentially, let's say they take +4, that'll be added to how these dice get rolled at the end of the round. If someone goes here, they can either take this D12 that's part of the board and add it to the dice pool, or they can just not add it, meaning nobody else can add it there. If somebody goes here, and this is only for 3+ players, you take this negative D6 and you add it to the dice pool, let's say. If you go here, you basically stay there, and this will help you get money at the end of the round. I'll tell you how this works later. And this is if only with 5 players you can go here, same thing. I'll tell you what this does later. It helps you get money. This is you have to spend 4 money, and when you do, you essentially can take any one of the fruit cards that you don't have yet to be one of the 5 you need to win the game. So essentially it's just changing in 4 cash for one of your 5 fruit that you need at the end of the game. Here, there's a spot for everybody, the boatsman. You go here and you can basically get all your dice back, because at the end of each round, these dice are going to get rolled, and once they're rolled, they go off the board. The ones that aren't always on the board each round, essentially everyone's own color dice, they go out of the game until you go here to grab them all back. So over the course of the game, you start with 5 dice, but you'll be losing them shortly through all the rounds. If you go here, you got to spend a coin, and you get to take this and place it underneath one of your characters on a boat. I'll tell you what this does later. It's good for getting fruit. If you're on either this or this, you will get money more easily at the end of the round. Again, I'll explain this in just a moment. If you go here, you immediately get to add 2 dice from your own die pool into the stock. So I could take 2 of my own and add it here if I went there. If you go here, you can immediately add 2 more of your workers out. So you can put your first guy here, pay a coin, and put your 2 guys out and activate those spots right away, beat everybody to the punch. If you go here, you can take any one of your guys that you have left and stick it on a boat, even if there's another player there. So this player could go here, for example. Now, once everybody's used up all their guys, their 3 guys, that start player is going to take all these dice and they're going to roll it. So if we add up all the dice, plus this plus 4, minus this minus d6, it's a 23. So we look at where the 23 is. It's right here, 20 to 23. The player on this boat wins this round and will get this banana fruit as to one of the fruit that they need to win the game. Now, anybody in any 2 adjacent boats gets 2 coins. So blue would get 2 coins, nobody here. If the winning boat was here, it's this boat and this boat that would get the 2 coins. Now, if anybody was here, they would get 1 coin because they were on the side of the boats that got the fruit. They would get 1. This player is over here, so he gets nothing. But if it was this boat that had scored, he would get 1 coin for that. Now, if you're up in one of these 2 spots that I talked about, it's easier to get coins. So for example, if this was the boat and I was here, I am 2 spots away, but if I had selected the one that goes in that direction, I would still get 2 coins. Normally it's just the 2 boats next to each other, but if you select these spots, you're going to be at least 2 boats away in the direction of those arrows from the boat. This one here says if the adjacent boat was one that got fruit, you would get it too. So for example, if this player was the one to have played it, this player got bananas, these 2 are adjacent boats, this guy would also get the banana. So the board dice, which is the negative d6, the d12, and this, all the tiles, go back to the board to start a new round, and all these dice come off the board and they cannot use them again until on a future round they go to one of these spots. Now before the start player is passed, the current start player can swap any 2 boats. So they want to swap positions because as it gets later, you can't get the same fruit twice and you're trying to get 5, and they swap those. And then they pass the start player to the next player, and notice one of my dice is missing because that's the one that was taken out from this round. And then we start a new round. We continue this until one player has 5 unique different fruits, and whoever does that first wins immediately. There is Floating Market. Now, I typically like dice manipulation, and I like games that have speculation in them, and the artwork looked really cool, and the idea, I've almost had to go to Thailand many times as an engineer. And I've got friends that have pictures of them in the floating market. I was pretty interested in this. First of all, I showed you the insert. Excellent production quality here from Eagle Gryphon, something that they are pretty much known for now. Now, I did point out a little flaw in some of the D4s there that some of the early copies might have. Hey, things happen in production, but just be aware that those things are there. I had a bigger problem with sort of that not super overly clear about the negative D6s. I mean, the first time we played this game, we played half the game with those white D6s being positive values because the negative D6 in the game has red pips. All the other ones have black, and it's just like one little spot in the rule book way up in like an almost an illustrated caption that says to get the negative D6, where in the regular setup rules, it just says grab your 5 dice. So that was a little bit, so be careful when you play this game. Make sure you play with the negative D6s. That tainted the first experience a little bit, but after we throw that back in, whatever. Now the game itself, I've always been looking for a sort of an entry-level worker placement game that I can bring people into with a fun theme that's easy. And I'd say itself, this is a pretty straightforward one. I mean, you're going to a spot, you're doing an ability. The abilities are pretty simple. You're either going to a boat, or you're, spending some coins to get some tokens that manipulate things. You're adding a die or multiple dice to the dice pool, and then you're rolling it. I mean, mechanically, the game is very simple. It's very fast. The rounds move pretty quickly. And it's really all about guessing and speculating about the dice, trying to figure out who's going to what boats. Maybe trying to, if you can't get to that boat, maybe speculating what might, going next to it, so at least you can get some money, or maybe taking that token allows you to get fruit next to that. So there are ways to mitigate the dice. Now, with that being said, I still felt like the game just felt a little too random. It's like it kind of wants to be a strategy game, but it kind of wants to totally be a luck game, but it really sits somewhere in the middle. And I don't know. It just didn't excel in what it was trying to be for, I think, for me. I think that, it had some decent strategies of ways to try to mitigate, try to add dice, subtract dice. And for the most part, you're either going to be guessing or speculating and trying to mitigate it, but so is everybody else. So you do one thing to try to put yourself in a good position because you're already on a boat, and someone else is going to do something else. And it's a lot of like tug of war and take that, and just be known that when you play this game, your plans are almost always going to be thrown off by somebody else anyways. And it's basically, well, whoever's plans end up working out, let's roll the dice and see what happens. Now, there are ways, again, to try to mitigate that and to think ahead and watch what people do and this and that and have the right dice for the right moments and go next to them or use some of the things. And so there are ways to sort of get around that, at least get something out when you're not the one getting fruit, and that's all in fine. It's just, for me, for a worker placement game that's 45 minutes, there's just many other games I'd rather play with this because it still did feel like I didn't have a whole lot of control. Even though you can change the dice, you just can't really control what the other people are doing, and they're messing with you too. Overall, it just didn't sit that well with me, but if you're into speculation, speculation games and dice manipulation and stuff like that, you might want to check this one out because the theme is cool, the components are cool, the artwork's great, but for me, it just felt a little too random, and that is Floating Market.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.